Hey Lauren, how you doing? I'm putting my video.
Hi, Hero. Hi.
How are you? Good to see you
Oh my
again.
God, good to see you too. I am recording, just FYI. Oh my God, it's so funny. I talked to you a few weeks ago for After Ever Happy, and you're like, oh, never say never, like this, never say never. And I'm like, a fifth after film, you announced it like 2 hours later.
Do you know what was so difficult? Were you one of the? Did you get to see the film before we spoke?
I did
And
see
you
the
and
film.
we were discussing how the ending was interesting,
Yes.
but obviously now there's a to be continued. Do you
Yeah.
know how do you know how difficult it was for me to have to be like to all you guys? Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting ending. You got to take it how you take it. Like that
Brilliant
was
acting,
painful.
Hero. Brilliant acting. Because I'm just like, I see it like literally like a few hours after our chat, and I know you had to hold it for the announcement, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to pick that bone with you. I knew that I had to have a laugh with you.
I'm so sorry I had to keep that from you. I wish I could have told you, but
No, it's totally good, totally good. And I'm, happy to chat with you for after everything when that's down the line as well. And
yeah,
of
I look forward
course,
to it.
congratulations on The Woman King, saw it in theaters, absolutely obsessed with it. And I loved this movie so much. I loved it because it was like such a fun role for you. And I thought, I was talking to Martin and I was like, this is literally like a charming fairy tale horror film. And it just got me thinking when I'm watching the movie, my first question for you is, how hard is it to act dead for that amount of time? How long can you hold your breath? Because it just seems like you are holding your breath a lot of the time during the filmmaking of this movie.
I just froze for a minute, but I think your question was about how difficult it was to play dead.
Basically, yes. And like, I feel like yes, how difficult is it to play Mitch dead for a lot of the first half of the film?
Yeah, do you know what? Initially, it was like really fun because it was like it's like a nice easier way into feeling comfortable on set because like you can just have a slow approach where you literally do nothing. But I realized how like if for example I was playing dead topless, that would be so difficult to regulate the breathing. But I was lucky I was in a bunch of layers with the suit and the waistcoat, so I could kind of pull them out. So I had a bit more room to like breathe really slowly underneath. And another little trick was we put the contact lenses in just because it makes their eyes look more dead and it's a cool visual effect. But it was actually a really happy accident because wearing the contacts protects your eyes from like tearing up. So you can actually go way longer with your eyes open because you've got the contacts. And that was never part of the plan, but it worked out perfectly. So yeah, it was a few I say hours, but a few moments of spending a while on my own sofa, trying not to move at all, and then yeah, I guess you just hope the editing helps you out as well. But I actually really enjoyed doing absolutely nothing. I would love to do it again.
Oh my God. Well, that's a great answer. I love that. I was speaking to Martin earlier, and he said you literally had to be in hours of makeup. Talk to me about the prosthetics around your eyes and also the dead chest makeup. How did that help you just get into character, and how long did it take for them to do all of that?
So I feel like the whole look, like with the chest piece and the face, would have been about 4 or 5 hours. But then if we ever had to, luckily there wasn't a scene with the arm and the leg situation, but with the torso as well. If we did it all at once, it'd probably take about 10 hours. So luckily it was like sometimes two, sometimes four, sometimes six, kind of that ballpark. So I got through a lot of movies on Netflix on my phone and Amazon and stuff, but it does completely transform you. It really, really does. I feel like once everything's on, it is so convincing. You'll look in the mirror being like millimeters away from really trying to find a flaw in it. And these guys, Mark and the rest of his team who did the prosthetics, are incredible. What they're artists, like what they do is amazing. It's so convincing to a point where if I try and touch my own rib cage, my brain expects to feel myself touching the rib cage, and it's always like a bit of a weird moment when you like touch your cheekbones, but you don't actually feel it touch a cheekbone. And that is just a testament to how much it does transform you because you really feel like these prosthetics become part of your body.
It looked so seamless. It looked fantastic. I was like, oh my God, his chest. I was like, how did they do this?
Yeah, that's Mark Cooley and the rest of his team. They've got some amazing credits. They've been doing this stuff, so we were so lucky to be able to work with them on this.
Awesome. Okay, well, there is a shot in the movie. It's like, I think it's meant to be funny. The picture of you on your funeral cake. I'm wondering if any time in your life, whatever occasion, have a family member or friend given you a crazy cake with a face on it. Because my mom's done it for me for birthdays and stuff. But it just got me thinking. I'm like, Hero. It's like the character's funeral, and here they are on this happy cake.
You know what? I remember the one. I remember friends from school made me a West Ham cake one time, which was really, really cool. I loved that. But the one I remember most, my dad, when I was really young, we used to watch that 007 Bond films together.
Oh,
And
cool.
he like printed a stencil of 007. And then it was like a chocolate cake with like icing sugar that he poured through the stencil in like a perfect 007 kind of picture. So yeah, big up dad for that one. That was probably the coolest cake I've ever had. But that picture that he's got at the funeral was like taken by a friend at my house, and this was way before we even shot, so we were like, what kind of vibe do we go for? And it was just a clueless kind of like selfie, and they went with it, and I think it works really well because it's such a kind of like funny, stylized, happy picture to have
Yeah, you're just like
at
so
a funeral.
happy. You're like so happy in it. No, I love that your friend took it. That's awesome. So I love horror movies. I'm a huge horror film buff. I know you're a big film buff as well, and I apologize if you've gotten this question, but what are some of your favorite horror films, like go-to horror films, especially in the month of October? Obviously, for
Yeah,
me, Scream and Halloween, but
yeah.
what are your go-to horror films?
You know what, secret, I feel like the scary movie franchise, as much as they're taking the mick out of scary, growing up, they were like some of my, that was maybe my favorite franchise. Like me, I remember like that's the kind of film you watch on a sleepover. You watch like all however many of them there are.
Yes.
So I love all of those, but maybe I think Insidious and how many of them are there? Three?
I think there's like three or four, yes, but they're
Yeah.
so scary.
Love those. I feel like horror films, they're really easy to get wrong. They're really difficult to like execute, really well because a number of reasons. But yeah, Insidious is up there. Um, I did love Hereditary. I must admit, I did love
Yeah.
that one.
Oh my God, Tony
Um,
Collette was amazing in that.
yeah, do you know what? Yeah, there's more of, I do love horror for that. They're some of the ones that are up there, but it's hard to pick because now I'm racking my brain. I love a good horror film actually. You've got, now it's October, we're getting close to Halloween. I'm gonna start binging some horror movies.
Oh my gosh,
Give me
100%.
some what are some of your favorites other than Scream and Halloween?
I love Hereditary too. Like the Scream franchise is like my ultimate favorite. Yeah. So last question for you. I saw in a recent photo shoot that you got a tattoo, and I have to wonder, is it from all the years of having makeup tattoos? Did you finally like say like, oh, I'm gonna get a tattoo, or did you always want one?
You know
Because
what?
welcome to the club. Like I got them in my 30s, so I didn't
Yeah.
get them till later in life.
I'm glad you're validating my, because it is something that you feel like you might have missed the boat if you leave it too long. You're like, I'm not allowed to anymore because I'm not young and reckless, so I can't do it in that phase. But I'm with you. I don't think it's never too late. But I've always wanted one. Like for a long time, I've wanted one, and you kind of have ideas come and go, and then the idea of what I've got like stuck with me for a while. So I kind of knew I wanted it, and I have some friends who got a bunch of tattoos, and they were always like, "Nah, you won't commit. You'll never get around to doing it." So what prompted me to finally do it was almost a bit of an F you to them to be like, "No, I will. Watch me." But I think if anything, the process of spending so much time in the chair covering it up, if anything, was like a hindrance because I was like, "Oh, that's another half hour every topless scene I do from now on is going to be half an hour doing the touch ups at least."
But a lot of actors do it. Almost
Yeah,
every, I mean, look at Tom Hardy. I mean, a lot of the times he has his own tattoos, but like so many actors are covered with tattoos. I wouldn't worry about it like that.
exactly. And what's that? And ultimately, you can't let these things stop you from doing what you want to do. And the makeup people are getting so good with their ability to cover it up quickly and stuff. So we're
Oh,
fine. We're
it'd
fine.
be fine. It'd be fine. I also want to say, obviously, The Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite movies of all time as well. My
Mhm.
dogs are named Jack and Sally, so that's like Halloween-esque Christmas, not like horror film, but
Definitely,
that is like a traditional,
definitely in
definitely
that
like
genre.
Halloween
Yeah,
film.
for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
well, it was so nice chatting with you, Hero. I love supporting you and sending lots of love your way.
Me
Can you
too.
say anything about After Everything at this point?
Oh, I'm so scared, Lauren. I would love to, but I'm actually so scared. But I
Yeah,
really do think people will love it, and I think I can say that it focuses a little bit more on like Hardin's healing, which I think is something that's really important to me,
interesting.
but to everyone in the franchise for that character. So, yeah, some more of his kind of healing process.
I'm just happy I have some relief after that ending, because I'm sitting here watching the screener by myself, have no one to talk to about it, and I'm like, what just happened? So now
I'm so sorry about that. I'm glad we could finally burst the bubble and know the truth. But
oh my God, I love that. Well, Hero, so nice chatting with you, and enjoy the rest of the press day. And I'm so excited for fans to see The Loneliest Boy in the World. Your performance was so charming, and you're so funny. The dating advice part, oh my God, I loved all of that. Like, I would watch Mitch just do dating advice for an hour.
I would be so happy to play Mitch giving dating advice for an hour. So we'll talk to Martin and see what we can do. But
Well,
thank you so much, Lauren. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Always is.
pleasure talking to you as well, Hero. Bye.